We have a country that we can be very proud of. I was with the King of Saudi Arabia, and he said, you know, sir, last year you had a country that was a dead country. We thought it was dead, and now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it's true. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it's true. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it's true. And we're respected again. They actually respect us. And we're respected again. They actually respect us.
Well, there you have it, folks. You just heard it from Orange Jab Daddy's mouth. He was hanging out with the King of Saudi Arabia. Ooh, how prestigious. And the King of Saudi Arabia told President Trump that last year, this country, the United States, it was dead. But now, in 2025, going into 2026, it's the hottest country in the world. Wow, congratulations, President Trump. That must have been amazing to hang out with the King of Saudi Arabia while he told you that the United States is now the hottest country in the world. Yeah, to those of us who aren't, rich, those of us who are in the middle class or the lower class, yeah, 2025 wasn't really the best year for most of us. In fact, scratch that part about the middle class, because as we all know, the middle class was basically wiped out over the last 5 to 10 years. So Trump must be talking about his billionaire and trillionaire buddies who think that the United States is the hottest country in the world, right? I don't know what country you've been living in, but I look around and I see homelessness on the rise. I see poverty on the rise. So what exactly is Trump talking about when he says that the United States is the hottest country in the world? He damn sure isn't talking about this place where I live, and I live in the United States of America.
And we're going to be having close to $20 trillion invested. That's record-setting by 10 times. Nobody's ever had anything like it. We're building plants. We're building factories, auto factories, AI plants, the whole thing with artificial intelligence. I don't know the word. I've never liked the word artificial. I don't know what artificials are. I think they ought to change the name. I've always said that's a lousy name to have, artificial anything, but it's a big business.
So I honestly do believe they are using an AI version of Trump in this video. Not only that, he brings up AI in this video, and he says he doesn't like the name artificial intelligence. He says that it should be changed. We're going to be building AI plants. You know, the whole thing with the word artificial intelligence. I never liked the word artificial. I think we need to change it. We need to get rid of it and come up with a better name. I was thinking awesomely authentic intelligence, or possibly amazingly authentic intelligence. So in 2026, we're going to draft a bill to change the name of AI to AAI. So before we dive in any deeper to what Trump was talking about, I want to go ahead and point out this is the only channel that will tell you the real truth, that they're using AI versions of Donald Trump to address the public, and tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people are totally falling for these AI versions of Donald Trump. These people don't even know it's not the real Donald Trump. Yeah, that's right, I said that. The mainstream media, which is controlled by the government, is using AI versions of Trump to address the public, and the public is, for the most part, completely unaware that this is going on. So if you check out this interview right here done with Trump, and then you take a look at his right eye, and then you just zoom in, it looks like Trump's right eye is completely black. Very strange stuff. It looks like a demonic version of Donald Trump, an AI version of Donald Trump. At the very least, a imposter wearing a mask pretending to be Donald Trump. Y'all, they were doing this with Joe Biden, and I was one of the only people talking about it. So before anyone thinks that I'm some liberal trying to cause divisiveness by going after Donald Trump, you couldn't be any more wrong. I was going after Joe Biden while he was president, pointing out that they were using AI versions of Joe Biden and duping the public with fake versions of Joe Biden on the screen. And now they're doing the same thing with Trump. And nobody seems to be calling it out but me. Well, fine. I'll be the one guy on the internet who calls it out.
But we're doing better than we've ever done before. We have the stock markets just hit for the 48th time an all-time high during the 9 months that I've been here, a little more than 9 months now.
Doing better than we ever have before. Who's he referring to? Him and his billionaire and trillionaire buddies? And he's talking about the stock market being at all-time highs. Meanwhile, lower-class families, people who survive on under $100,000, they don't have much money to spend on stock, if any at all. I mean, let's be honest, most people who make under $100,000 aren't going to own much stock. They probably don't own any stock, right? So Trump bragging about the stock market being at all-time highs, that's typically something that only benefits the rich, elite, and the wealthy. And again, I want to point out, I am not in favor of the left. I'm not in favor of the right. In fact, I have always preached on this channel that the left and the right wing are both attached to the same dirty bird. And all the politicians are on the same team. It's them versus us. They're all in the big club. In the words of George Carlin, it's a big club. And you and I aren't in the big club. And I would have to agree with George. All these politicians, the easiest way to know that they're lying is when their mouth is moving. And Trump is no different. And whether you like it or not, Trump's time as president will be coming to an end. And we will most likely, here in the United States that is, we will most likely get another liberal president right after Trump leaves office. So my prediction is the next president will more than likely be a Democrat president. And the reason I am making that prediction is because they swing the presidential pendulum back and forth regularly. So for instance, we had a Republican president in George Bush, and then they swung the presidential pendulum to the left, and Bill Clinton was the president. And then they swung the presidential pendulum back to the right. George Bush's son was president. And then they swung the presidential pendulum back to the left with Obama as president. And then they swung the presidential pendulum back with Trump. And then they swung the presidential pendulum back to the left with Biden. And then swung it back to the right again with Trump returning as president. You guys, they literally do this every 4 to 8 years. So expect that the next president is more than likely going to be liberal if they do stick with the same formula that they've been using for a long, long time. So let's be honest. We don't see one side dominating the other side 5, 10 elections in a row, right? So if I was to make an early prediction on who the next president will most likely be, right now, I'm seeing Bernie Sanders' name come up more and more and more. And Bernie Sanders, even though he is really old, he fits the bill. He's a pretty good speaker for a man his age. In fact, he's arguably a better speaker than Trump right now because Trump is sounding more and more like Joe Biden. And as we remember, Joe Biden was often incoherent, rambling, mumbling, stumbling over his words. So being a guy like Bernie Sanders doesn't seem like he's completely lost his mind to dementia. I think you could definitely see a guy like Bernie Sanders be the public favorite, and people would show up to the polls and vote for a guy like Bernie Sanders to be the next president. My guess is a lot of people are going to be sick of Trump by the time his presidency comes to an end, and they will be ready to vote for a liberal candidate. And since I see Bernie Sanders' name coming up more and more and more now, and he seems to be getting pushed on YouTube and on the mainstream media and all over social media, I seriously think that if the next president is going to most likely be a liberal, then my guess is Bernie Sanders is more than likely going to be the next president of the United States. And then they can even have Bernie possibly get replaced by AI. And then who knows, Bernie, since he'll be so old, he might start fumbling and mumbling his words like Joe Biden and like Trump is now doing. So if you think about it, the last two guys are fumbling, mumbling, really old white guys. So it actually fits the bill for another decrepit old white guy to step in. So no guarantees. This is just my guess, just a prediction, and it's very early. Bernie Sanders will be the next president of the United States.
That's what the American people want.
So now we get to the grand finale of this video. Trump says he's looking to eliminate income tax.
Over the next couple of years, I think we'll substantially be cutting, and maybe cutting out completely, but we'll be cutting income tax. Could be almost completely cutting it because the money we're taking in is going to be so large.
He says that he's taking in so much money from these other countries that he's tariffing all these other countries, and billions of dollars are just rolling in from all these different countries. He's saying so much money is pouring into the United States that he is talking about eliminating income tax. Well, with all due respect, Mr. AI Trump, I will believe it when I see it. And that's about all I have for you guys today. If you are still watching here right now, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. It really does help this video get recommended to more people. And make sure you are subscribed with the bell notifications turned on so you don't miss any of my content when it gets uploaded. And I will see all of you in the next video. Peace.